My name's Nicki. I lost my younger brother Stuart when he was 21. He was living out in America and he died in a car crash. He had been up all night with his friends, I think, and at some point early in the morning he fell asleep at the wheel and the car came off the road. We now know that he died instantly. Because he died in America, it was quite a while before I found out that he had in fact died. By the time word had got to England, to my parents, and then to me, I think I'd lost that phrase of no news is good news. So going forwards, there was always thoughts in the back of my mind that something awful might have happened to somebody I love, but I just hadn't heard about it yet. And that really fed into my anxieties and my worries about people that I love. My day-to-day life hadn't changed. I wasn't used to seeing him because he'd been living in the States for a year or so. Most of my friends around me hadn't met him, so they didn't know this person that I'd lost that I was talking about. So my internal world had been turned upside down, but on the outside it probably looked quite similar. Since Stuart died, I have met my now husband and got married to him. One of the challenges has been that my husband never knew Stuart. He didn't know our family as it was, and he doesn't have a full picture of who my brother was. So anxiety definitely became an issue for me. When I got married, I worried when my husband was driving and wanted to know that he was safe, made him text me all the time when he was leaving work so that I knew when to expect him home. That was probably quite hard for him to have to do that to reassure me. And I realised over time that actually that wasn't going to make any difference. That wasn't actually going to keep him safe, but it just kept my anxieties going. I've had 2 children since my brother died, and at some point I had to decide when I was going to tell them that there was another uncle that they'd never met, and how to explain that to a small child, and the inevitable questions, some more caring than others, but you have to remember that they're just small children and they're trying to understand it. I was dreaded when they started learning about family trees at school. I was like, oh, here we go. Over the years, since then, I've met numerous other bereaved siblings. There's some similarities, there's some differences, but through it all, I've seen that losing a brother or sister is a significant loss. In meeting with other siblings, I've seen there's a big tendency for that person to take on the role of carer for their parents, for organising, for supporting them, which is important, but within that, they often don't give themselves time to grieve, don't allow them that time and space to process their own loss. I know for myself, and I've heard others express this too, that they feel guilty for saying, what about me? I've lost my brother. When someone else has lost their son, someone else has lost their husband, someone else has lost their dad. It's the same person. We're all grieving. But I think the sibling has to acknowledge that it's a significant loss for them and it's their story, and they need to deal with that in whatever way they need to. I think what I'd say to other bereaved siblings is to stop and take some time for yourself. Think about your brother or your sister. Allow yourself that space to grieve and look for support where you can find it.